Let's start. This would be a very basic discussions about the security. Okay, how the career will go and what are the different team are there and what their operations will be. Okay. So initially, I'm going to take you to the just an introduction part, and then we'll go step by step process, and I'll share you the complete plan, like what are the content and how we're going to discuss on those content. Okay. So as we know, like when I talk about the cyber security, as in the previous webinar, also I discussed that, it's all about the information security. So is a subset of that is the cyber security, like how we going to protect any IT assets that can be in the form of applications, that can be in the form of endpoints, or it can be form of network database, or there are the several different services which we are carrying. So this is all based on the standard principle that is called as the CIA triad. That is we call as confidentialities, integrity, and availability, because this plays major role in the security when we are designing. So based on these principle, the security is designed for an organization. Not only this, but also there are many different framework also is required, but these are very important at the most standard way where we can see the CIA triad will work. Now we know that the confidentiality, when we talk about it, what is that actually? Like how we can keep our data is highly confidential, that not been readable by unauthorized person. That should require proper type of encryption in order to encrypt the data. That is altogether we call as confidentiality. Integrity, that comes on tampering, like how the data tampered has happened, what type of informations can be get altered, right? That is called as an integrity. As an authorized person only have an access to do the the modifications, but an unauthorized person will not able to make any kind of changes to the database, right? So those are the admins or have the full control. They have the access to read or change or delete access. But if anybody others are there which are not authorized, but they can be able to do that because of the lack of integrity. We need to make the data available 24 by 7, 365 days. That's how the process will work on the availability. So overall we can see that the confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which plays major role in order to secure our data from the different type of attacks. So standards are there. Based on these standards, the compliance policies, data security, application security, everything we have design on that. Okay, give me one. All right. Now, as we discussed that, when we are seeing that there are the different type of hackers are there, right? No, every hacker have the different type of responsibilities. They have been working on a different other method when we are saying that. So what are these hackers are there? As we can see that like white hat hackers, gray hat hackers, and black hat. So in a very simple way, the white hat hackers are nothing but like these are the people who are the good skill set people. Those always focus on making available the assets. That's how the white hat hackers are there. The black hat hackers are nothing but these are the people who are the cyber criminals. And the border between white and black is called as a gray. It's a mixture of two. It depends upon the circumstance, depends upon the the process where the gray hat hackers are exploit, or sometimes they goes to the owner and say about the vulnerabilities, or sometimes they put that is on the public. That's how it works. So if we see some more detail about this, we have the white hat hackers. As I discussed that the white hat hackers are the good guys. They are the ethical hackers. Will always use their hacking skill for the defensive system. We focus as in the white hat hackers always focus on genuine license. They do the penetration testing, like finding out the different type of uh, vulnerabilities, and they're going to fill those vulnerabilities gap by interacting with the several other teams here. That's how it works. Then they never use the skill for illegal purpose. They always try to focus with the good uh, way, and they try to find out those vulnerabilities and try to fix those issues. So they improve the defense system for the securities. The black hat hackers, we know, like it's a cyber criminals. They exploit the vulnerabilities for their personal gain. They have only one motive to make it huge profit. They find out the different type of vulnerabilities and they're going to exploit it. So use as in security skills, we're going to secure this like banks. They use the different type of the process. In fact, I'll tell you that as in white hat hackers, we're going to use a different type of technology. We're going to use a different type of the process. Let's say that in order to protect the network, we use a firewall. In order to protect the endpoints, we use the EDRs. In order to protect the web applications, we have web services like web applications firewalls, right? And also we have different policies inbuilt it. There are the different type of audit systems are there. There are the different type of monitoring systems are there in order to monitor all the assets and see what type of activity is happening and so on. So there will be a certain investment. The similar way, if the cyber attacks happens, there is also an investment because the attackers target to the particular systems or to the companies where they can make it the profit with those attacks, or they have a certain purpose. The motive can be anything. It can be the vandalisms, or it can be like gathering the informations, blackmailing, or it can be encrypting the data, asking the ransom, and so on. So they are the different type of attacks which they are going to do. So the consequences of these attack will be different to the different companies. If I say if attack happens to the banks, so in this case there will be a financial losses. If the attack happens to the healthcare systems, that like exposure to the patient's confidential data. So they steal the credit card, they place different type of malwares in order to get this. This is how the black hat hackers. Now, grey hat hacker, also the computer expert, they disclose the security flaws to the public. The ethical standards fall under somewhere between unselfishness or the strictly malicious. So depends. The reason either it can be ethical or it can be unethical, depending upon the conditions, circumstances that they and where they are doing it. This is how the grey hat hackers are working. So overall, we can see the white hat hackers, black hat hackers, and the grey hat hackers. The same way, we know that the attack is not always happens from outside, but also it happens from inside. We have the several team. If I'll tell you that the entire team process, the team can be like HR team, sales team, marketing team, accounting team, finance team, and so on. We have the information technology team where the developers are there. They are the different type of people are been working. So these developers can be considered as full stack. The people are skilled with the Python, Java, .NET. So these are the team. We have IT infrastructure team, which are like system engineers, network engineers, database engineers, which have been working. And also, we know that there is an IT security team like IM team, point security team, vulnerability assessment team, network security team. So these are the the security team, as well as we can see the SOC team, which are monitoring the entire process, the activity which is happens on these assets by using the tools like SIM, SOAR, threat intelligence, and so on. So overall, we can see that these are the team which they need to be have the complete interaction with the security team. What activity they perform, so this need to be get monitored. Can anybody tell me that why we need to monitor what the sales team is doing, what the accounting team is doing, what are the network team is doing? If I'm a SOC analyst, if I'm monitoring these systems, what is the purpose for that? Can you read this? Why we are monitoring? The reason why, because as we can see that the attack will not happen always from outside, but also it happens from inside. Correct or not? Inside a threat also will be there in the organizations. Are you agree with me? So yes, if it is your if you are agree.
Yep, exactly.
Muhammad, is there? Are you there? Is it clear?
Yep, yep.
Uh, I think there is some problem. Yes. Okay. No issues. Okay, let's go ahead. uh, you know, this is what where we need to understand that there are the several internal team are there, and we need to check what activities happens because it may also lead the cyber attack. So there is also in consider as internal threat will be there in the organizations. Correct? Yes. So what we are doing it here, let's understand that as we can see that we as a when we have been working as in the project, we need to interact with this entire team. The entire team is need to be get interacted and see what activity they are doing. The similar way, if I'll show you some idea, as a civil engineer is going to construct the building, houses, malls, or anything, right? So at that time, he need to interact with the entire team, like architect, masons, like tile workers, plumbers, electricians, painters, and so on. There will be a several other team also will be there, where the civil engineer must need to be get interact. If there's a lack of interaction will be there with this team, as you know that that may lead to the not deliver the proper project, that will be not in a proper structured way or some way. So the communication is very important with this team, the guidance, mentorship, and process in order to build the proper construction. The same way in the cybersecurity world, if we can see that if we are as a cybersecurity expert, we need to also interact with the entire team. That can be like HR team, marketing team, like network team, finance team, and so on. What activity they performing, how they are working to these assets. That's a very important concept which we have to see it here. So if I'll say you that how it works, what things is happens. Let me give you one simple example, like a story where you can understand, how the security will work and what things is happens. Okay, so I'll tell you like how this IT comes into the market and what they are doing, how the IT involved. Let's understand this. So you'll get a clear picture. How does it work? So for this, I want you to understand that we are going to build a company. Let's say that. So this has been certain company which we are trying to make in order to see like how it works. So these company can be a media advertising company where we can see that the print the media, banners, hoarding, brochures, and so on. Let's imagine we have one company which we are making here. Okay. So I want you to see that if we are making this type of company, what are the most important things that we needed, right? So first of all, for this, we require to be have some assets, right? So here we can see that we have the two computers which we have purchased. Over these computers, the required software is installed. That can be a Photoshop, Corel Draw, After Effects, and so on. And we have purchased the printer and connected with the network. That's the router. Just imagine these are the four IT assets, as we can see that. So we have the four IT assets and we have the two-person, you and me. You and me started this business. Let's see like how it's going. Now we have set up this all, but if any problem comes in the computer, who's are going to fix that? If any problem happens to the printer, who are going to fix that? Because we are not technical guys, we are the creative guys. We are going to create ads, but we don't have the technical skill set to deal with that. For these we require, if any problems comes with the computer related, we require an IT team. But as you can see that we are very small, we just started the businesses, we have very less IT assets, so we can't afford to be have an IT person here. So in this case what we are doing it, we can't hire, we are too small to hire an IT person. So we are taking the help of the third party companies, annual maintenance contracts. So they say that if any software issues happens, 24 hours it takes to get fixed. If any hardware issues are there, it takes 3 days to get fixed. And this is the discussion. This is called as a SL, service level agreement. The similar way, service level agreement also will be there in the cyber security process. Like, what is the incident management SLA? What is the containment SLA? Like, on the different ways, like, different service level agreements are there with the clients that need to get understand and process, like, the similar way. So here also we have a SLA which is related to the services. That issues happens with the software or issues happens with the hardware. There will be a team which are taking care with the time defined patterns here. Within this time frame, they're going to fix it. And for this, we are paying some certain amount. So they said like 10,000 USD per annum that need to be get paid for these services. And we said like, okay, that's fine. Let's start. So we started. Now, what happens? 1 year is completed. We went to the next year. The next year, the things are quite different because we increase our team. Also, we increase the asset here. So we can see that we have the separate design team, sales team, finance team, HR team. So before we 2% were there, now we have 20 team. As we have increased the team, the IT assets also increases. So it was just a 4 IT asset before. Now we have 30 IT assets. Now here at this situation, if we can see that if we have these 30 IT assets, if any problem happens, the annual maintenance company have to take care of it. But the annual maintenance company also increase the price. It says that now you have to pay 40,000 USD as you have increased the staff and IT assets. Now, as you can see that the time comes here, we need to have our own team in order to handle these situations. Or is that we need to depend on third party? What do you think? I want you to answer, please, in the chat.
Yep.
Please
We
let me
have
know
to
that
handle it by ourselves.
we should be have our own team, right? That will be the
Yep.
better way, correct or not?
You're
So
correct.
this is how it works, right? When it is comes at these situations, we have our own team instead of like depending on the other parties. We have our own IT teams, like those are going to maintain these in IT assets. If any issues happens, there will be a team other which are taking care of. This is how we started, and we got the system. Now the next year, if we see that, what happens? The next year, again, we increase our business, the IT assets, and also the team has got increases. Now we can see that 200 team are there. We have 300 IT assets. We have like different HRMs, like human resource management systems. We have like CRMs. We have file servers. We have like the email servers, which have been like perfectly we designed for deliver the email within our domain. So this is how like the services is designed. But here, when we are designing this entire network structure, like network architecture, network process, how we can maintain the network, how we can like put this corporate asset on the network. For these to take care it, we have network engineers. So as we can see, the system engineer are there deal with the system related issues. Network team are there who are taking care of the network related issues. If anything goes wrong at the network, there will be a dedicated network team are there who are going to take care of it. So this is how the network team has gone come here. Now, as you can see that we started the business with just like 2%. Now 200%, 200 people we have it, 300 IT assets we have it. It means like we got some good name in the market. We started the business and business is going a very perfect way. We got multiple clients, we got international clients. So one of the international client have given the project for their like multinational companies, and we are there into designing their ad, like designing their virtual effects, everything, like YouTube ad or internet ad. We can see the television's ad, cinematic ads, everything. We are going to take care of those projects. So let's take and imagine a situation. There will be a Mercedes Benz who are going to launch a new model, and we have been the design advertising partner for them. So we are taking care of the entire advertising process. We are seeing like how these ad will be look and how it will be get delivered. So the entire team is working on it. Like since many months we are working. Everything is fine. Design is completed. Project is designed. with taking the celebrity shoot and all. Let's imagine. So once we have done these, about to be get finished and hand over that to the client within a short time of period, we have more 15 to 20 days to get launch the product, and we are going to give this complete work to our Mercedes Benz client. Now what happens? Suddenly our finance team have received one invoice on their email from Mercedes Benz saying that it contained the information regarding the payments. So our finance team has no security information and they have downloaded that. So once they have downloaded and they open that, it contained malware infection. Now malware infection, under that what malware was there? Ransomware. This is one of the malware which is designed by mostly an attackers in order to encrypt or lock your systems. They use a different security algorithms in order to encrypt those data, and they ask you to pay certain ransom in order to get you an encrypted key here, decrypted key here. This is how it works. So here we can see the ransomware attack is happens and it is entered into the one system. Then suddenly what happens, as we can see that it spread to the all the systems because all machines are been there on the same network and it has got affected to all machines. So all the machines are rendered and useless here. So it means ransomware has attacked the entire systems where it's got blocked, and these attackers saying that pay a certain ransom in order to get an access to these data sets. These are the possible way, right? Now, at this point of situations, data is very critical. So we can't go to the third party. Even we can't go to the client because it's all about the reputation, right? Because when the cyber attack happens, it impacts in a several way. One, operational impact. It can be the financial impact. It can also be in a reputation impact and the regularity impact. Do you agree with this? Are you getting my point right?
Yep, exactly.
So this is how the impact will be there. Impact is very bad, right? Sometimes very critical impact can be there for these assets. So these situations are tough, but anyhow, because the phase is that as the beginner we can't go to the client and say about these excuses, and we can't go to the third party and to come over with this problem. So for that reason, what we are doing it, anyhow we have some negotiation team and trying to negotiate with the attackers, trying to get data back. Actually this is not to be happen. We never encourage by paying the ransom to the attackers to get it more attacks. If we pay, they get an encouragement and they do the attack for others also. But this is for an example because we don't have any security backups. We never focus on the cyber security team till now. This is might be a reason where we have to do the negotiation. But anyhow, we come over with these problems. We have paid certain things and we come out with the situation. So we taking care now about how our endpoints should be. So endpoints are nothing but where all the corporate machines which are there on the corporate network. So we are using the endpoint security solutions, EDRs, in host-based firewalls, host-based IDS, IPS, and so on. So overall, we can see that there are the several other methods are there where we as a security expert are going to take care of it. So EDRs are there which are installing to the devices in order to make sure that our devices will be secure. The second we have endpoint security solutions and the network security. Yeah, we can say web gateways, email gateways, intrusion prevention systems, firewalls, which are going to protect the network. They monitor the traffic. They build with different policies, right? This is how we protect the endpoints, we protect the network. So what I want you to understand here that slowly we started with the system team, network team, then we got an attack, we got the endpoint security team, then the attack may happen on the network. So we have the network security team. This is how we have increased the team. Now in the next process, as we can see that we have started the business and we have different office. So we started this in United States in New York. Like we have another branch in Hyderabad, India. Recently, we done that, and it's connected with the VPN, VPC, and working with private virtual networks on the same project and so. As you can see that we have the system team, network team, endpoint security team, network security team. It means like the attack will not happen? No, it doesn't mean that. Attacks continues to be happens with the different reason, different type of processes. So these attacks may happen due to the configuration mistake. The attack may happen to the vulnerabilities, which are there on the existing software. So there are the vulnerable software also will be the one of the point where the attackers may attack if they discover those vulnerabilities. Or this may happen because of the human error. They are the different employees and because of their mistake, the attack may take place. So these are the possible way of the cyber attack when it is happening. So in order to come over with these all issues, we have the information security team, which is responsible for conducting the regular audit in the system. They are defining drafting the different security policies, as well as they're conducting the user awareness training. This is how possible ways are there which we are going to protect an IT assets. But conducting audit is not the complete solution in order to secure. Reason why, I'll tell you. What do you mean by the audit, by the way? Can anybody tell me that? Anyone, please? What do you mean by the audit?
Audit means checking every devices in a certain times or every week or something like that.
Mhm. See, when we are talking about like this audit when it is happens is a process, is a way of systematic in order to evaluate all the organization security policies, the procedures, the controls, the systems, to ensure that they meet with the defined standards, regulations, they find out this is all about to get find out the vulnerabilities, gaps, or any non-compliance issues can be there, or they expose organizations cyber threats which is there because of those policies, right? So overall we can see
Mhm.
that it is an important evaluations which is going on in order to understand how it works, what is the security, and what is the process will be there for these security things. So overall we can see that every aspect of the
Mhm.
security audit
Or we,
have their, yeah.
yeah, whether the device are also following the rules and standards as well.
Yes.
We can. Yeah.
So they ensure all the compliance with the laws, regulations, and the industry standards. Like we have GDPR, HIPAA, ISO 27001, PCI DSS. So overall, we can see that the audit is a process to identify the weakness in the system, network, or process that provide recommendations for the improving the security posture. Correct? This is how it will be there. So they take the samples and they do the testing. The auditor are there, internal auditor, external auditors. They have the different pictures, which we're going to see that in the later coming in the classes. How they do the planning, how they collect the data, how they do testing, how they do the analysis, how they create the report, what are the remediation factors are there, like how we gonna fix those identified issues, those all things can be there. So who are the conduct audits, internal team, external auditor, regularities bodies are there, and so on. So overall we can see that the audit is the systems which are there in order to evaluate the system process and the network or any other IT assets. So let's imagine audit is not enough. The reason why, because let's imagine audit done in the last week of March. Audit is completed. We find out the different type of gaps, weakness, and we have highlighted those weakness, and that has been got reduce the risk. But the configuration mistake happens in the month of April, the first week of April. Is that possible? It happens or not?
Yes, it's possible.
Maybe somebody have done something after audit it has happened. Now the mistake will only identify in the next audit that is going to be happens in the end of the June. So it means like we leave these weak configuration as it is for more than 2 months, which is not correct, because attack may happen between this. If the attacker discover these vulnerabilities, that will be a different mistake, right? So here what we require continuous monitoring, which is very important and necessary here. So these continuous monitoring are nothing but the SOC operations, which we are going to learn about it. How we going to monitor, how we going to detect, how we going to investigate on those, how we going to respond to the cyber threat, right? So this is how the SOC team are going to work, the Security Operations Center. So overall, this is how the discussion which is going to be happens, right? We're going to discuss these are the method in detail, step by step process. What are the main areas we require? What are the skill set we require? As in working as a security analyst at the level one, level two, or level three. So we're going to discuss that from basic to advanced, and same while we focus on the real time scenario based interviews, like how it works, what things is happens, and everything. And all this are from scratch. We're going to start from the networking to the high end. I'll take one more basic sessions on security, and then I'll switch to the first module of this course. Okay, is that so clear, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have any doubts or anything, please feel free to ask me. Is all good? It's clear, everyone?
Yep.
All right. So that's perfect. So see you in the next session tomorrow at the same time, and we'll try to get it more in detail. Till that, take care. Bye, everyone.